Welcome back to our podcast, Can You Imagine More? The show where we bring you fascinating professionals who are making an impact in our community. I'm Rose Young, and twice a month we will bring you expert insights, inspiring stories, and actionable strategies. Today we're crawling into the world of pest control because let's be real, we've all had that moment of panic when a cockroach scurries across the floor or an army of termites are nibbling on your home. And who better to talk to than my guest today, Neil from Canady's Termite and Pest Control. But let me tell you, Neil is much more than just the bug guy. Born in Laurinburg and raised in Red Springs, Neil learned the value of hard work early, working alongside his dad at McNeill's Jewelers when he was just 5 years old. But fate had other plans. What started as a temporary job right out of college to help his buddy Matt at Canady's Termite Pest Control turned into a 19-year career. He worked his way up from the most entry-level position, pre-treat technician, to now managing Canady's offices in Vass and Apex, overseeing more than 25 employees. And if that's not enough, Neil is also a devoted family man, married with 5 kids, and somehow still finds time to serve his community as a volunteer firefighter. Today we're going to hear about his journey from jewelry to termites, the wildest pest stories he's encountered, and what it takes to grow a thriving business in an industry that most people only think about when they really need it. Neil, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Miss Rose.
What's a bug-related urban legend people always ask you about?
I'd have to say one of the most common questions that we get asked on almost a daily basis is your products safe? I've been asked so many times if this will hurt or kill my animal, children, and the answer is yes. There are products in our industry that can be harmful to the environment, but as long as they're used in the appropriate manner, they are safe. What we use around the average home is something that can be used. Something that we use around the average home can be used in nursing homes, schools, daycares, and of course residential settings. So we aim to always do the right thing, follow the label, and use the products as they're intended.
Does it take time to dry, or is there like a certain expiration date where it's safe?
Yes, so whenever the chemical is wet, it is transferable. So as we are in the act of spraying, we ask for about 2 hours for it to dry completely. It technically is fine to walk on it, but it will get on your shoes. But once it's dry, it is not transferable at that point. So as we're spraying, we ask for that 2-hour leeway. But after we spray, you're more welcome to go outside, have a picnic. It is totally safe for everything except for the bugs around your home.
That's good to know. I love it. Now, be honest. What's the one bug that still gives you the creeps, even as a pest expert?
Yes, ma'am. That would definitely have to be the dreaded bed bug.
Oh.
Bed bugs are unlike most insects in that they're immune to the chemicals that we use. There are products that are coming out that are more fungus related to kill them, and the method that we use is actually heat treatment. We heat the house to about 150 degrees all day long to take care of these things. So it's unlike if you were to have ants or roaches or even fleas in your home that we can simply spray and hit it a couple of times over the course of a month and be done. Bed bugs feed off of you for 10 minutes at a time. They're nocturnal, and so they get you when you're most vulnerable. They get you when you're most vulnerable overnight when you're asleep.
Ooh, that sounds dreadful. How do you stay at a hotel, Neil?
Start with a thorough inspection. You can see bed bugs. They are visible to the naked eye. They start out as the size as a baby of essentially a flea. They grow to the size of a tick, and their signs are actually their feces. So when you're doing an inspection for bed bugs, you're looking for their shell casings, their feces, or the bed bug itself. They are around people. They don't only inhabit inside of hotels. They can be in movie theaters, doctors' offices, several locations. So it is something everyone needs to be cognizant of.
Oh, no, so we have to look at the seat in the movie theater too before we sit down?
It's kind of more tough to do that because it's usually a darker setting. Sometimes they're relying on a little more trust that setting. It was not going to be there, but it is the possibility for sure.
Do you go to movies?
Try not to. No, me and my family do attend movies, and I'm not worried about it for the average case because I know if I do contract bed bugs at my home, I have a way of getting rid of them.
And so do we. We
Correct.
call Canady's.
That is it.
So let's talk about Canady's termite and pest control. You got into Canady's to help a friend. So when did you know that the jewelry business was not going to happen? You were all in and with pest control.
Probably the first week of working at Canady's, it was a stark difference from what I was used to. But I still went back to the store for Mother's Day, Father's Day, and worked that Christmas to help out. And just again with the thinking that I was going to go back to the jewelry store. So my stint for temporariness lasted longer. But after the first year, I did not go back and work Valentine's Day. The next year, I did not go back and work any other holidays. They had pretty much replaced me and moved on. And but it was a great transition. My family was obviously super positive and encouraging me to pursue a different career.
Nice. So what's the craziest or most unexpected call you've ever received? Something that made you go, yep, this is a first.
So when I was kind of young in my pest control career, had only been working at Canady's for probably 3 or 4 years, I had got a call in St. Paul's, North Carolina for bird mites. And I'll be honest with you, I had no idea what I was going there to get into. And of course, is what we do every day. We do not want our customers to suffer or to have any problems from any kind of pest. And I arrived at the home and I found a trailer house that did not have any soffit around it, and it was full of birds in the eaves.
Oh, no.
And again, I didn't know what I was necessarily getting into, other than when I walked in the door, the lady handed me a bag of yellow powder and with instructions written on it. And I said, "What is this for?" She said, "Oh, it's for the bird mites. If they get on you, they will burrow in your arm and lay eggs."
Oh, no.
And I said the same thing. I said, "Oh my goodness." So I stepped out, called our owner immediately, kind of like, what am I here to do and what's the plan of attack? In this case, we did a thorough pest control service, and then we were not performing wildlife services then like we are now. We could have helped her further, but we recommended her to a wildlife specialist to get her eaves sealed up, to remove the birds from her eaves. But they had infested her to the point that she was yellow when I walked in the door. She was covering herself in this powder. And I never put the powder on, actually kept it for a very long time, worried that something was going to come up or happen in the future, but no burrowing ever happened that I'm aware of.
Oh, good. Oh, that's so scary. You never know what you're walking into, do you?
That's correct.
Pest control is one of those industries where people really appreciate what you do, but they probably don't think about the business side of it. What's one of the biggest challenges of running a pest control company that most people wouldn't expect?
One thing that's kind of tough is on the marketing side. People don't typically talk about our industry. When someone has bed bugs or roaches or mice or rats, it's not something they share necessarily with their friends or family. So we do spread through word of mouth, but it's more along the lines of our standard services, just people doing preventative. But with the disadvantage of not being a very open topic, we are a little tougher to spread. So we do rely on word of mouth that doesn't normally necessarily happen on an open basis. Like if somebody was looking for a diamond ring or a good place to eat, people are very willing to discuss and be very open on that. And then there's a lot of people that don't understand what we do. They think they can go to the store and purchase the chemical themselves and apply it themselves. And they can, but it's what you're paying for when you hire us is the knowledge and chemical that cannot be purchased out on the open market. And that with that knowledge, you're going to get the professionalism to get the job right done by using less chemical that you might end up using yourself to try to tackle the same problem.
Yeah. I know I've bought the wasp spray before and was never successful.
Yeah, it does actually work, but the problem is you got to get pretty close to the nest, and of course you run into the possibility of getting stung, which no one wants to do. On the wasp side of things, we carry a product that shoots out about 10 foot from it. We can put it on a pole and actually get spray from an elevated surface. So again, our stuff is going to be a little better than yours, and my guys can risk getting stung instead of yourself.
I like that idea. Let's talk about marketing. Pest control isn't the easiest thing to make exciting. How does Canady's termite and pest control stand out from the competition?
Well, I'd say first and foremost, we are a Christian-based company. I'm not saying there ain't a lot of those out there, but we pride ourselves in being that. Our owners are deacons at the church. That Christian faith is definitely at the forefront at almost everything we do. Being family owned and operated, that is a huge benefit, not only to our employees, but also to our customers. We treat everyone like family. We do it right. We do it with intention and purpose. We're going to be honest with you in every setting. If it's something we can't help you with, we're not going to charge you to figure out if we can or not. We're going to let you know up front. There's really not too many situations we run into like that, but if there was something, we're always going to be honest and upfront, and we're going to be very fair in everything that we do.
You pretty much answered my second question. Is there anything you want to add to it? Why do you think Canady's is so successful?
It's going to be our people all day long. That is without a question. So from our owners down to our secretaries, our technicians out in the field, we have segmented technicians that do specific jobs. And they all come into Canady's, some with knowledge, some with none at all, and we're able to train them and put them through their paces to be able to give the same service that Terry Canady, who originally started Canady's in 1978, set out to do to the people of Scotland, Moore County, Robeson County, Hope County, and to do them right. He worked for a larger company who's still around today, and he really got tired of seeing them being taken advantage of, and it simply came down to doing people right, and we instill that, and it starts with the hiring process. I hire a lot of firemen, being that Matt Canady, he's the chief of the fire department. One of my managers at my Vass location is actually the assistant chief of that same fire department. I just like that cut of cloth fella that's going to go out, go above and beyond, and really take care of the customer.
Yeah, volunteering as well.
Exactly right.
So, what is something that Canady's does that people don't really know about?
I would say something that people don't know about, because it's not something that people go through every day, is our real estate inspection program. We do tens of thousands of these a year, and this is going to be when someone is either refinancing their home or the purchase of the home. Some banks actually require this inspection all the way through. People do it because it's a great idea. You're making the biggest investment of your life, and we charge to come out and do a thorough investigation. It comes with a report, any sort of estimates that were needed, and we would do this through our local real estate agents, home inspectors, or the individual buyers of the home can contact us to schedule that inspection to make sure that their investment is safe and they're not buying a problem. Because there's a lot of things in our world that go hidden and unnoticed until you find it later. And just to piggyback off of that, the second thing is a little newer to the industry for the most part, and it's our moisture control operation. We take the crawl spaces and make them where they're no longer damp, moist, full of fungus that will grow under a crawl space. It kind of used to be the thinking that, hey, a basement and a crawl space, they're just wet. There's nothing you can do about it.
Never see them.
Exactly right. Out of sight, out of mind. And that's where we work every day. And we're seeing these things. And so it's known that 70% of the air inside of your house comes out of your crawl space or basement. So if you have a problem in your crawl space, it will in turn be inside your home. So by our crawl space moisture remediation program, we can get rid of funguses, install dehumidifiers, sump pumps, drains, insulation work, kind of everything to make your house function better and be more or less safer for the occupants.
Oh, that is a service I didn't know about. That sounds great. So let's do a little myth busting.
All right.
What's one pest fact that completely blows people's mind when you tell them?
Yes, ma'am. I would have to say that is definitely some statistics about termites. So here in the Sandhills, we are kind of in a hot pocket, if you will, of termites. We have 3 different types of subterranean termites here in North Carolina. We, in our area, have around 27 colonies of termites per acre. Termites don't know to stay on your acre. They come from your neighbors across the street, the woods behind the house. Termites do more damage than every fire, flood, tornado, hurricane combined into one entity per year. So there might not be a flood this year or a hurricane, but there is going to be termite damage. And as a result of that, your insurance company will not cover it. So if you develop termites, there's damage done, you are responsible for that. By you being responsible, you should hire that service out to someone like ourselves, and then in turn we pick up a damage warranty on the home called a bond. We offer $500,000 worth of damage protection. So if the house was to get damaged during our tenure of protecting the home, we not only cover you financially, but would also do an additional treatment to keep them away.
Oh, that's amazing. How much damage do they do in how quick a time?
The industry standard is said to be a 2x4 a year, and of course this is the first year. They're blind and they don't know to stick with just one 2x4. So what happens luckily is they eat some of this 2x4, some of this rim joist, some of this subfloor, some of this siding, and it's spread out. So left unchecked or unnoticed for some time, that multiplies and increases as time goes on, because again, you start with a colony, it might be 200 feet from the home. It's kind of like commuting from here to Raleigh. Takes them a little time to get back and forth, so part of the day is involved in commuting, and then the other part of the day is working. After they've been there for about 3 to 5 years, they will develop what's called a swarm. That swarm will come out and make the colony at the front steps, basically. So instead of you just move to Raleigh to go to work now, so you're more productive every day, more damages are going to be done. The termite damage is ramping up at this point. So it's kind of like there's been cartoons like Tasmanian Devil, the termites come in and just eat the house down. It doesn't happen like that. So it is a slower process, but again, going unchecked, it can happen over the course of several years.
Is there a point where it's too late?
So luckily, because they eat wood, wood is a material that can be fixed. Now, have I seen homes that had to be torn down because of termites? Sure. But you're talking about a house that was probably 100 years old and it's had termites 4 or 5 times throughout its life, and people will treat it, but treatment is like an oil change. It has to be renewed. So if you're not constantly treating and keeping up with it, some of these things can slip by. But yeah, luckily the wood can be repaired as long as someone's finding these things. I've gone in homes where the washer and dryer was in the crawl space. So it does happen, kind of sneak from under you kind of thing, but it's even more reason to have your crawl space checked on an annual basis.
So do you guys come out once a year, twice a year?
For our termite service, it is a annual termite inspection. Basically, we would just come out, we would do an initial assessment of the property, we would send out our termite guy, he would do a treatment on the property, and then depending on whether you had active termites or not on that first assessment, you're going to see myself or another supervisor back out. We do what's called a 30-day inspection or recheck. And then from that, we would inspect the home annually. We do have services that can put us at the house monthly or quarterly. And if, of course, there was anything throughout the year that the homeowner found or saw that had question, we'll come out in between that year to do a check on or just verify, because we don't want to wait until next year if there's a problem.
All right, Neil, before we wrap this up, I must ask, if you could only pick one pest to be permanently eliminated from the earth, no more, gone forever, which one are you choosing? And tell me why.
Right, so that is almost a no-brainer. This is actually the number one pest in our industry through polls, through people every day, and that is the mosquito.
Oh, tell me about the mosquito.
Mosquitoes, we have over 10,000 species of mosquitoes just in North Carolina. Obviously, they are a nuisance.
Yes.
But they can also be deadly. They do carry several different diseases that can affect our blood systems. They spread because they will bite a wild animal and then in turn then go feed on us and drink our blood. And that transmission from one animal to the next is not good for us, obviously, to get sick from it. Just on the nuisance side of things, you hear them buzzing in your ear, you feel the pinch on your neck, it swells up. It makes it where you can't even enjoy your yard or your setting, whatever it is, throughout the summer months. And we have a mosquito service that is top notch. We come to your house every month during the mosquito season, depending on the type of service you have. We have some that become more. And we treat every leaf in your yard every month during that season. And by doing so, you can take over your yard, again, from the mosquitoes. You can barbecue instead of going out to eat. You can work in your yard without being worried about having the bites or the diseases that can come from the mosquitoes.
What is mosquito season?
Mosquito season actually starts coming up. We've March through October and it's weather permitting and reliant. So if it actually warms up like we had last week here in February, now we've hit a little cold snap again today right here before Valentine's Day, but as soon as it warms up and as wet as it has been over this winter, this is going to be a bad year for mosquitoes. But March is when we start doing our monthly services for mosquitoes, and that will continue through October. It can extend past October, again, depending on the weather. If it stays warm, as we can have our mild winters here, I've seen mosquitoes in December and January in some pockets of the areas, and then it can be more widespread the warmer that it stays.
Yeah, well, so what is it about my blood where I could be sitting right next to my husband and I'm getting eaten and he's not getting one bite?
Well, I've met your husband before, and you're just simply sweeter than he is. So they do actually target specific blood types. And another thing that they do that people don't know about is they intentionally land and bite you in a calculated area.
Oh.
So as they're buzzing around, they're not simply just buzzing around. They are more or less finding the veins that they want to hit to get to the most bang for their buck, if you will. They don't have much time. Unlike a bed bug who feeds off of you for 10 minutes, they're going to swoop in, get what they need, and leave. So it's really more of a calculated sting.
Wow.
Another thing people don't know about mosquitoes is they only travel about 400 feet in that area their whole entire life. Now, I've got one in my truck before, and I drove from here to Sanford with it, but so that one had a little outside the average, but they live pretty much in an area. So you can treat your yard, and your neighbor won't treat theirs, and you can get rid of your mosquitoes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So it does work better if you and your neighbor get on board and do it together. But part of our service is to dump out any kind of standing water. You can have 24 mosquito larvae in just a bottle cap size worth of water. So it doesn't take a full tire or a bird bath to be able to do that. And speaking of bird baths, we actually have Alticid pellets. We can treat your bird bath, keep the larvae from hatching, but squirrels and birds can still drink out of the bird bath safely.
Oh, that's nice, because I put a little pool up for my chickens in the summer.
That's right.
So can I put those in the pool for the chickens and they'll be fine?
I'd have to read the label on that, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
But also, we do use all natural products that is safe for the butterflies and the bees.
Nice.
That is, a lot of people will sacrifice the getting bit and the potential for disease because they're worried about the butterflies and the bees, and just want everybody to know that we are too. And we use caution in what we do. We only spray particular plants and in certain ways that it is not going to harm unintended targets.
I love that about Canady's, because I'm worried about the butterflies and the bees.
Well, you should. They're very nice. They're very useful for our environment.
Okay, before we let you go, tell our listeners where they can find you and how they can get Canady's termite and pest control to take care of their unwanted guests.
Sure. So we currently have 6 locations throughout North Carolina. We service an area from the Triad to the coast, and the more than likely you have an office near you. Our office here in Moore County, the phone number is 910-245-2100.
Say that again now. Your phone number.
Our phone number is 910-245-2100. 2100. You can also find us on the web at canadyspestservice.com. And then, of course, we have Facebook followings also. Every office has its own area, and the local office here for Moore County is in Vass.
Thanks for sharing your expertise, your stories, and making us all feel a little more prepared for the next time something creepy crawly shows up at home. All right, as promised, here's your jingle. Bugs bugging you will send 'em packing. Termites and roaches no more attacking. Fast and friendly, tried and true. Call Canady's, we're here for you.
Thank you, Miss Rose.
That's a wrap on today's episode of our podcast, Can You Imagine More? Thanks for joining me as we spotlight the incredible entrepreneurs and professionals right here in Moore County. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Until next time, keep imagining more, and let's keep making an impact. If you're battling bugs, you know who to call. Canady's Termite and Pest Control.